Hey everybody, welcome back to Roadside Nuggets. This is Georgia Boy here with 5D Full Disclosure. How's everybody doing this evening? Definitely energy just started off a little bit hot this morning. The collective definitely is going through a major cycle break. And again, we're going to talk about the cycle breaks this month because it's a major theme, not only collectively, but also going through this is going to amount to a massive breakthrough for the collective towards the end of this month, towards the 22nd of February, when the Pluto return actually returns to us. But we are all going to go through a lot of experiences and a lot of phase ups, level ups until that point. It's not going to be like an all-in-one thing on the 22nd. It's going to be a lot of milestones we're going to have to cross and also complete in lieu before that date actually commences. And then when that date actually finishes, we're going to actually experience a lot of full breakthroughs and actual completions for ourselves. This is going to be a lot of the breakthroughs that have to do with the spiritual self, the emotional self, and the mental self. A lot of times with the physical anchoring and the physical embodiment of the self, the higher self, and also our divinity, it actually is delayed and relies on our behavioral patterns that we have already instigated throughout life through the years. So the things you're used to doing, the things you're used to thinking, the perceptions you're used to having, and the ways you're just going about life in a consistent pattern, they have to change, right? So this is getting us to a point where we can allow ourselves to relax, let go, and dissolve the processes and the patterns enough to the point where we can see a difference, see a change, see a different opportunity, a different idea present itself. And that's exactly what this energy right now is presenting itself on the collective for everyone in this point. Is as we reach the 22nd, we are going to go through so many layers of ourself that we have per se in our life, up to the point, no matter how old you are, no matter where you are in your life, no matter how accomplished you are in your life as far as success and career, we are reaching this point now in the collective consciousness where we are asking ourselves intuitively and internally, am I happy with my life? Is it answering and fulfilling everything that I wanted? All my purpose that I am looking for in my life? Is it enough? Right? And this is only happening because the worthiness of the collective is now rising. So as a collective consciousness is now deciding they are worthy of more, they deserve more, not only out of entitlement, that's dissolving. And of course, it's all process. So we have to allow it, accept it as part of our healing, that we are entitled. Because we have been so deprived and suppressed, we have expectations. We have reserves and we have wants and needs and desires. Because we have been so devoid of that experience. So, it's nothing bad. Right? And that's what we have to throw in the trash immediately. There's no judgment or opinion. There's nothing bad about it. All it represents is there basically has been a long spectrum of devoid, suppression, lack, right? So that, of course, must fill itself to fullness in order for that person or that being in that experience to experience balance, harmony. Maybe that being has to exert themselves over that boundary line into overcompensation, has to, let's say, indulge themselves extremely in the opposite experience enough because they've experienced enough of the lack and the void and the suppression and the loss of it. They don't know how to reference the balance point. So this is where we're going to experience a lot of the collective starting to jump, right? It's not out of response to the divine energy. It's more out of this lack, this out of time energy. We're out of time. We've waited too long. We put it off way too long to the point where now it's a panic. It's paranoia. It's anxiety. It's stress. It's a rush to get to the finish line. And we don't really know why, but it's this overwhelming mental capacity that's just looping in the background, basically because we know in the unconsciousness that we have put things off for far too long. We have bypassed, we have ignored, we have dismissed things that probably could have healed us, set us forward, allowed us to pass through. But out of our arrogance, stubbornness, thinking we know better, or wanting to prove the point. It was far more, let's say, tempting to go our own way and to do our own thing, even if it was at our own detriment, even if it was at our own destruction, our own sabotage of the overall agenda, of the overall goal, right? And we are finding now at this point that if the vision, the idea, the concept, the goal, the finish line, whatever you are working towards, the purpose, if that's not aligning with your physical actions, there's no one else to blame but yourself. And this, we're getting more into this internal energy where now the pressure is going to press inward, right? The experiences in everyone's life is going to press more and more internal to the point where you can take accountability and see that everything is transmitting from you, right? And until you change the core beliefs, the trauma, the understandings, or where you are stuck at, and what you will allow, what you can believe and what you can't yet believe, and where everybody else is. See, the thing that spins everybody is the comparison. We're always watching everybody else, trying to match up, trying to measure up to everybody else, and we're constantly dishonoring and dismissing our own experience, and we don't ever give ourselves enough time to catch up. So in a way, it's self-neglect. In a way, it's self-betrayal that we impress on ourselves by trying to keep up with everyone else when we're not in that experience. Everyone else is not taking on what we're dealing with and what we're thinking, what we're emotionally transforming. So in a way, it's belittling yourself, giving yourself less importance than the rest of everyone else, and trying to constantly push yourself, in a way, gaslighting, to stay in the flow of everyone else when it's just a status quo. It's just conformity. It's just what everybody else is doing, and you're stressing yourself out like, why can't I do this? Why can't it be that easy for me? Right? This is what everyone's problem is. Like, is there something wrong with me? Is there something wrong with the way I go about doing things? Can I not function as a normal human being? Is there something wrong with my brain that I don't get things or work the same way as other people that makes it easy for them to have a successful life? And no, there's nothing wrong with you. Those people are just numb. They're very stubborn and very arrogant and very delusional and disassociated with what's going on. And that's why it's easy. So why it's easy to have billions and billions of dollars and not worry about the rest of the world. It's why it's easy to be a celebrity with millions and millions and millions of dollars and completely be self-obsessed in your own bubble, your own life, your own little world, and not be aware or even concerned or even content on pushing your lifestyle towards bettering the lives of other people. It's completely obsessed and deranged on your own trauma, your own behavior, your own fear in life that you put out into your production and rope everybody else in as if that's the present moment experience of a higher reality. And you put jewels and diamonds and different colors on to make it pretty. That's not beautiful. It's not grand. All you are doing is glorifying the miserable bullshit on this planet that we are stuck with because no one has the balls to actually change it, but we're just going to stuff ourselves with it like a full course meal and be happy with it, right? We're going to be grateful. Just like our parents taught us, you eat your food and you be grateful for it. You be happy with that. Are you happy with that? Are you happy with your life? Are you happy with everything to this point that you have gotten fed onto a spoon to you? When you woke up this morning, were you happy with everything? Were you fulfilled and so full of purpose in life? Did everything meet your needs? Did everything just answer? The stars align for you? Was everything just perfect for you when you woke up this morning? If it wasn't, probably means you have work to do. It probably means there's more to the bigger picture than just what you're going through. It probably means that if you get out of your ass enough and actually look at everything else around you, you'll figure it out. Like, wait a minute. I'm not the only one suffering. Everyone's suffering. I'm not the only one confused. Everyone's confused. I'm not the only one fucked up. Everyone's fucked up. It's just different and unique. And if you keep going around comparing and measuring and trying to rope everyone into the same box, it will never make sense to you. It will never align for you to actually say, like, you know what, I got it. Never. Really, what it truly takes is people letting go of what they are seeing happening in front of them, right? The thing with energy, see, look at it this way. Spiritual, mental, emotional, physical. That's the way the energetic bodies work, but also everything is a reflection of the universe. So that's the way everything in life works. Everything is an idea, a vision, a feeling, a freaking like just magical creation. Before it becomes a mental concept, before there's thoughts and ideas that can spark the passion and inspiration to generate that idea into physical life, with the emotion now connecting to it. The emotional part, the feeling, the aspect of life, the sensation of it all. Then it drops to physical, the birthing of it into physical life. To experience that in all the folds, the spiritual, the mental, the emotional, now physical, all in one. Like a plant, like an animal, like a human being. That can experience all those folds into one form. That's really happening. That's really true. So why don't we care about it enough? For us to get to 5D, for us to get to a new reality, a new earth, you have to ask yourself, is there more than just materialistic? Because if you look at your life, everything you're focused on, everything you're worried about, everything you are anticipating on fixing and, dealing with, if it's just material, if it's just physical, if it's just this heavy bullshit, and there's no depth to it, there's no sensation and feeling and emotion, there's no mental capacity of how deep you can go with yourself and actually understand what you are feeling, then it's all just insanity to you, and you're just throwing yourself out there for nothing. Leaving yourself to get ran over by the train on the railroad tracks because you really don't truly care about what you are actually going through, much less make sense of it. You want to talk about insanity? You want to talk about neglect, abandonment? You want to talk about the humanity literally so deranged to the point where they cannot take accountability for what they have been through, what they have caused, what they have manifested and chosen for themselves, yet they will beg and pray for a better future, for a solution, for a fix, for an easy handout, for a pamphlet. But they will never want to exert the same amount of energy that they destroyed themselves with into fixing it, into healing it and flipping it and actually focusing on what the problem, the core, the trauma was, so it does not repeat itself. And there you have another redundancy. We are stuck in a broken record humanity where we choose to go around the bend over and over again instead of realizing that the same amount of energy that we choose to grovel in our misery, it can be the same amount of energy to lift us up to the heavens and actually exchange that energy for something lighter, brighter, grander, more brilliant, more amazing, and actually full of healing and rejuvenation, restoration for everything that we've actually been through, and actually answer what it was all for, the purpose, right? Because we don't suffer for nothing. We didn't come here for nothing. We didn't embody on this physical planet for nothing. And this is also another thing that humanity is getting smacked with, is how deep does your hatred go, humanity? How deeply do you hate yourself? How deeply do you hate your life? How deeply do you hate everything you've been through? How deeply do you hate your experiences? How much you look? How much you feel? How deeply do you hate what you actually see yourself as in life? How deep does it go? Have you answered for it? Have you taken accountability for it? Have you looked at it? Have you faced it? And if you have not, this is now a roadblock that's going to be so severely pressed in upon you. You have to answer for it. Because if you are going to get back to unconditional love, if you're going to get back to forgiveness and nurturing, divine grace and compassion and divine non-attachment to this, you cannot hate it. And that's the truth. That's the dichotomy. That's the contradiction in our perception and our experience. Everyone ever did fractions in high school, middle school? I hated math, but I still remember fractions, right? Anything less than 100% is not 100%. You can't argue with that, right? So, if you hate anything, even 1%, even if a part of you hates it, cannot forgive it, cannot make sense of it, cannot accept and embrace it as a part of yourself and as a part of a life, then it is not pure whole truth. It's not pure whole forgiveness. It's not pure whole acceptance. It's not pure whole embracing it. And you can lie to yourself all day long under the sun and moon. It won't change anything. You're going to have to embrace the fact that there are layers. And if you forgive, you really forgive. There's no half-assing that. There's no 50%, there's no 80%, there's no 90% forgiveness and 10% holding back. Interesting. A lot of sirens going on right now. Confirm. You've got to let this shit go. God, 100% is in integrity. 24% of the time. 24/7, 100%. I think that's what I was getting to. Completely. Never without fail. And that's what our constant example is in getting to. I'm not saying anybody on this planet is perfect, because we're not. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. But it leaves a bar that we can constantly, every single day, work towards, and not constantly dismiss and bypass like we've made it somewhere and we can just let the rest of it lie on the rest of the collective. You want to be an example to the collective? How about you be it and do it? Say it, feel it, transform it, go through the process and actually experience it so you know what you were talking about, so you know what you were feeling, so you know what you were sharing with other people. Don't talk out of the side of your neck. Don't talk out of the side of your ass. Don't talk out of trauma and bullshit. Be real. In order to be real, you got to get through it yourself. And that's where the lack of accountability comes from, the collective. Why do we have lack of accountability? Because we hate ourselves. We hate what we've done. We hate what we've become. We hate the way we look to other people. We hate what we've achieved in life and what it looks like to us now because we know more and we know better than we did before. We hate so much in life. And until that hatred gets cleaned up with a beautiful sponge of rainbowness and sunlight and glory, that shit's going to taint every single thing that you try to create in your life. Unconditional love has no hatred in it. Your body is one form. So if it holds hatred in it, it's always going to mix with no matter how much love you try to pour into yourself. It will not change anything until you face the darkness in yourself, the pain, the trauma, the misery, the bitterness, the wanting to sabotage everything good just because you don't feel you can believe in it and trust in it anymore. All of it. It all counts. It's all relevant. But if you're too good to face your dark self, if you're too high and beautiful and glorious and sunshine and just riding on the clouds all the time to think that you can actually look at those lower parts of yourself, that's going to be a massive trap that's going to get you every single time. Every time you rise to beautiful glory, you're going to fall like a crashing plane and it's going to feel like shit. Because you're never going to have the wholeness if you're still holding on to the bullshit. It's always going to taint. It's always going to mix. It's always going to conflict and affect everything you co-create. You are not going to be able to get ahead of it. You are not going to be able to pretend with what you manifest and create with your life, with illusion and fantasy. Energy is pure whole truth, and you cannot lie with energy. And now at this point in the planet, in the year 2022, we consciously and vibrationally are at a level of energy now we have not been in centuries. And the energy is so strong and heavy now at this point, it's causing instant manifestation to happen more frequently and more consistently for everyone on this planet. Unfortunately, and also fortunately, it actually doesn't matter who you are on this planet. How much energy you are generating, unless it doesn't matter if it's a lot of lower frequency, a lot of lower energy, or if it's higher energy, higher vibration. It doesn't matter. At this point, the amount of energy that's being generated, it's what's pulling the frequency and the experience in right now, causing instant manifestation. This is also where the split's happening, but also where a lot of people are getting the very big wake-up calls. The slap in the face that like, hey, you got to get your ass moving right now. And that's happening for a lot of people right now because they needed those experiences. They needed to go as far as they could and have that rubber band effect, that inertia effect where they get slung back so far back into center. And the inertia, the insanity, and the extreme of the energy of it all is enough to snap them awake and get their attention, get their focus, pull them back into their physical body, wake on, turn on their physical senses, and get things moving to the point where they can be more self-efficient in that state, in that experience, versus being docile, numb, complacent, disassociated, or completely aloof and not aware what's going on. Somehow the physical experience has to create a physical impact to get you to physically pull yourself back into your body, no matter what that is. If that's fear, if that's insanity, if that's intimidation, if that's gaslighting you, if that's getting like just some kind of event in your life to blow up in your face that you are so invested in trusting in that it goes the wrong way, and that's enough to wake you up. These are the things that are starting to happen this month for everybody. I know it's a lot to share, there's a lot to take in, but also it's important to share because, the moment you get it, you can start flipping it. The moment you get it, you can start transforming it. But the longer you delay, the more you push, the more you are stubborn and think you know better, and you're going to go your way. The energy is going to reach a point where that stretch is going to reach elastic capacity. And it's going to snap you back so far into center that everything you're going to have to process and face and have to go through as far as an experience, it's not going to be enough time for your ego to actually grapple with and manipulate anymore. So in a way, it's a massive blessing. It is a huge blessing what we are collectively going through this month for everyone. Because it's going to allow us to go through a lot of depth very, very fast. Where we saw a lot of times last year during Scorpio season, especially when we had the big, lunar eclipse towards the last 2 days of that month for Scorpio season, that energy was very intense and heavy and deep. But you could see the stagnation, how slow everyone was really moving through that energy. It was a lot to process. It was a lot of emotions, a lot of just mental thoughts and concepts we had to break down and make sense of first in order to reorientate, switch around, restructure ourselves, and change it to where we had a new direction for ourselves going forward in that last part of that year. So it was a lot of stuff to go through. Now at this point, we're going through kind of like the similar phase of that, but it's very fast. It's very accelerated, and it's not going to allow enough time to really get stuck in a lot of thought, get stuck in a lot of emotional spins and swimming around things. It's going to be like, okay, what's this? Dip in, dip out. What's this? Dip in, dip out. Let's keep going through it. We have a lot of layers to make it through, and we have a month's time to make it through for the 22nd, right? You can always imagine at this point, every single day is literally like a portal. Every single day up to the 22nd of this month is going to be like any other month you've been through, is going to be unlike any other, daily schedule you've been through. Whatever you got going on, work, family, kids, children, like whatever you got going on, it's going to be very wild. It's very spontaneous, very off the wall, a lot of energy coming in. The whole point of this, spark off. It's acting as a catalyst. For us to jump through the 22nd of February's portal, we're going to need a lot of propelling all the way through that. That's what every day up to that point is acting as. So the pressure, the buildup, all the thoughts, the emotions, all the stuff going on around you in your life, it's going to get crazier and crazier and crazier. Why? Because it's got to go. You got to get so tired, so irritated, so pissed off, so done with things sometimes before you're actually ready to let go of the behavioral cycle. The behavioral pattern is so deep and you've done it for so long, for so many years, that it's just like you just choose it because it's easier. But unless it's irritating you, unless it's pissing you off, unless it's now a problem or a conflict for you, you don't really care to change it. So that's where a lot of the cards are flipping now for the collective. Everything you've bet on, everything that you've been used to, everything that's been working for you, it's now about to make a massive flip. And this is where you're going to make the choice to change it. Not because you just want to change it to be better. Honestly, it's going to be because you're so freaking uncomfortable and you're seeing what it's doing to your experience. You're seeing the pitfalls, you're seeing the black holes, you're seeing where it's sucking your energy and your attention and causing a lot of lower frequencies as far as stress and aggravation and paranoia and anxiety. And you realize at this point consciously you don't want that. Especially after the collective being pushed and forced through a physical experience the last 2 years of a pandemic, really physically experience something they don't want, really physically being enforced upon, mandates, having to be vaccinated, all these different things to make the collective physically feel uncomfortable, physically feel like they have to defend themselves, physically to feel like their system does not support them enough, right? Do you see that point? We've gone through the spiritual, the mental, and the emotional. Now the physical has to have a massive impact, a catalyst to get us to say, you know what, this doesn't work for me anymore. I'm not waking up in this shit anymore. I'm not dealing with this anymore. I'm not paying this anymore. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to drive in this anymore. I'm done, right? In order for us to get to the physical choices of that, the physical has to now be non-beneficial, non-comforting, non-sensational, non-supportive to what we are used to getting as instant gratification beasts on this planet. We've made everything on demand and we've gotten so entitled, right? So at this point, as those things start dropping off and breaking apart and dissolving, then the complaining will come, then the irritation, the aggravation, then the energy will come when we want to change it. Because of course no one wants to be uncomfortable. Nobody wants to be agitated all the time. So it's going to build and build and build until you're going to want to right action it. Until you're going to want to reflect on it, deal with it, look at it, what's causing this constant agitation in you, in the collective, in this country, in the world, and let's just deal with it, right? That's what it's building up to, right? You can't force, and this is what, of course, the divine contract, the divine plan with the collective, and also the divine, the angels, creation, and God. They cannot enforce upon humanity. They have to choose it. But of course, the universe can create situations and conditions where the collective can now see a different choice is probably better for them. And that's what we are manifesting for ourselves. We are manifesting a different vision and experience where we can collectively decide, let's move forward. Let's change it. Let's decide something higher, right? In order to get to that point, the hatred has to go. It's a big filter. And I was talking with the angels a little bit earlier, and they were feeling like different, like with the self-hatred, it blocks a lot within the energetic systems as far as it's basically is a massive buildup. You know, and not only the last 2 years of the physical pandemic that we've been through, but everything we've been through before, the suffering of humanity, all the things that we've been through on an individual basis before it got to a collective thing that pretty much took over the world as far as the whole, virus thing. But basically the hatred and the anger and the rage has to be burned off. And that's basically what's happening now in the cycle. It started about 2 days ago, and it's going to be continuous throughout this month. It is going to spark off events and experiences and things within each and every one of us to bring about the rage, the hatred, and the anger we have inside. Because it's reached a point now that we have to burn it off in order to get deeper in ourselves. It's too deep. It's accumulated too much. And we're too stressed and too tense at this point to go deeper in ourselves. So basically, the collective is aligning with the divine, where they are pushing this massive energy to raise this energy up to the surface. Of course, it's going to get sporadic and very crazy for different moments, but also why they're doing it during this time where it's like that dipping in, dipping out energy. Very fast, moving through different phases. So, of course, if we have to go through this kind of phase of bringing hatred and rage and anger up, of course, we'd want it to be in a time period where it would be very fast dipping in and out, right? We don't want to stay in that forever. We don't want to be all day thing and just take over the whole month and just destroy our lives, right? We don't want to just fall apart, right? But we want to get through it. We have to honor it. We have to feel it. We have to experience it. We have to express it. We have to go through and transform it. So this fast dipping in and out effect going on collectively is going to allow us to go through this collective energy and allow these triggers and everything to come up to move through it. This energy has accumulated. They're sharing so much and nuts. It serves as an energetic hijack, basically, for... So right now, where the collective needs to come back into their empowerment, and this is a good awareness to look at, where we have passion, assertiveness, self-empowerment, and standing in our own truth. If we have a lot of aggressiveness, a lot of tension, stress, and aggressiveness, and just anger and rage and hatred, that remains a massive hijack for the energy. The divinity can't come online as long as we have so much hatred and anger pent up inside. Anytime we're going to go into passion in a very extreme way, going to self-empowerment, reclaiming that back for ourselves, most of the collective is getting pulled into their rage and hatred that they're also suppressing, so it gets hijacked. And all that fiery energy now gets consumed into the lower, and the empowerment, the passion, the moving forward and standing up for their own truth, it all gets hijacked. The assertiveness now becomes an attack. It now becomes a battle or a fight, instead of just being assertive in their own power and standing for their own voice and truth. So there's a lot of these things that have to get burned off as far as collective energy, this hot, fiery energy. And once that steams down a little bit, it gets cooled from being burned off and expressed and released so much, then we can actually go a little bit deeper into the point where the collective start going through these collective lessons of standing in their own power, in your own truth, expressing your truth and standing in that and trusting it, right? Without the back end of aggression, without trying to attack, without trying to be very overly defensive, without trying to put on a whole front or trying to, change those scenarios. Just be in your own individual center and just speak your truth. But the collective feels from being gaslit the whole time, from being suppressed through the centuries and different generations. At this point, anything to be said, anything to be expressed, the collective feels that they have to push so hard. They feel like they have to literally unleash a vault of so much fiery energy to get attention, because for generations that energy has been held back. It's been suppressed and put down to the point where we have to learn how to balance and harmonize that energy, right? So, of course, doing that, there of course has to be different extremes until that energy can go back and forth, and that conscious energy can experience both extremes and then can find the center in between, right? And this is where we have a lot of expectations and linearize a lot of things, where we try to push different beings and different parts of the collective to just be certain ways when they've never actually experienced that. And so a lot of times they have to overcompensate, externalize themselves over the bounds into the opposite experience that. So they have both extremes, and then they work on the middle, the harmony, the balance, and they have that wisdom from both spectrums to work on finding that middle harmony and balance. And that's where a lot of beings are too in this experience. And so just working on forgiveness, working on non-attachment, letting things go, embracing them, acceptance. It's going to help the collective out a lot. The angel was sharing, we have you... they were asking questions of the angel was sharing. Where have you placed your morals, values, and principles and visions in life? And have they changed? This is another important thing. In order for you to create, in order for you to build, for you to expand, really. You got to have a dream, a vision, a direction, somewhere you're going, or else the expansion is really, it doesn't have a point, right? You're really not going anywhere. There's really not a higher horizon you're rising up to. You're just kind of like floating in stagnancy. You're just kind of complacent, just in limbo, basically. And so they're expressing that this is where a lot of the collective is kind of stuck at, and needing to reflect on this and actually be assertive with himself. Where are you in this? And asking, basically, if you have not placed importance and focus in this area of your life, it is utterly impossible to keep supporting the big picture, the dream, the wishes, and the vision. You're in a vehicle with no gas, steering wheel, or pedals. Your value in life, your lessons and wisdoms, they give you colors to create a new life and new experiences. So if you're not really putting anything into your principles and morals in life, what do you value? What about life do you value? What aspects of life do you value? What about yourself do you value that you find that are amazing, that are supportive, that are part of your contribution to life and other people around you? If you haven't even focused on that, if you haven't even actually looked at that or wrote that down or even supported that, you are literally truly pulling the rug out from your feet, and you're not able to actually focus on the bigger picture, right? Bigger picture, 5D, New Earth. I know it's grand. New Lemuria. It's amazing, right? That's a big picture. It's a big world we're moving to. But if you can't even see your own dreams, if you can't even say what your own dreams are, how are you going to align with a bigger dream? And therefore, there's another disconnect. What you cannot generate, what you cannot internalize yourself, you cannot connect with the external at all. Therefore, where the collective is going, where the collective is evolutionizing to, if you can't see that, it's probably because you can't see it for yourself. You don't have a higher dream. You haven't put energy or effort or investment of your own ideas and creativity into a higher dream. So where are you in yourself? Do you hate everything? That's a lot of what the voices were from the collective this morning. I definitely went through a lot of hours this morning punching through that. And it was really heavy and really gross. But there was definitely a lot of just hatred. Absolute hatred, going on through the collective transforming. Take my full accountability and responsibility for being a resonant vibration to that energy, of course, as everybody else. However, that energy definitely is. It's moved. It was a big punch through this morning. I don't feel it really, as heavy now as it was earlier. But this has to transform and dissolve further for you to even level up in appreciation, cherishing, or being able to value and support other things and give love to it. Because if a part of you hates it, it's going to hold it back, right? There's always going to be a reason. There's always going to be a flaw. There's always going to be, a holdback point. A what if? A what about this, right? Until you can truly trust it, truly have faith, truly back and support it, truly be loyal to it. There's always those different fragments of yourself that you're going to fight with, you're going to argue with, and you're going to have to make sense and reason with. Right? So why not just get to the core and finish it all together? Right? Where are we at right now? What do we have to focus on? And where are we going? And just decide right now where your direction is. What's the vision? What's the focus? Are you moving towards 5D New Earth? Are you building yourself towards that point? What does that mean for yourself? Highly divine being, embodied your whole higher divine self, higher self. What does that mean? Actually understanding these things. Everything going on right now, it's going to wake a lot of people up, but it's going to confuse a lot of people too because they're focused too much on materialistic. Focused too much on, 3D, human society, what's going on in the government, who is president, is the president real, is he a robot? It's like, who fucking cares, right? At this point, I would be very, very much more worried about my soul and transforming and working on that part versus who is standing in office or who's putting on a show, because it's all fake. It's fake. I know it's fake. So what are we putting on a show for? Pretending that we're waiting for the massive revealing. It's going to happen at some point. You're going to wait around for your soul embodiment for that to happen? Like, it's dumb. Why put off your healing? Why put off your higher best life for some stupid TV broadcast that might come and might not come? Who cares? Is that really enough to, like, sacrifice your soul embodiment and evolution? Ask yourself. You know? If you're just buying takeout and paying for Netflix and just sitting on that couch and waiting for the world to change for you, and then you're going to have a better life, it's going to be a hard road for you really soon. By the middle of this month, things are going to kick off really, really fast. It's going to be like fireworks every single day. Things are going to be going left and right. The ceiling's going to be breaking. A lot of things are going to be happening. I'm telling you right now. The energy is climaxing. It's not going to break at all until long after the 22nd of February. But the energy coming, it's massive, right? So as I share with everybody, as I've always have before, just being very blunt, very real, and very direct, it's coming. It's building up right now. You have these moments to get yourself orientated, situated. Everything else afterwards is gonna hit. It's gonna hit like a train. You're gonna feel like shit. You're gonna wake up like crap. You're gonna have shitty days. You're gonna be feeling very sickly and ill physically because you're not consciously, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally getting through it. So, like all these things, if you're not focusing on those and working through it, it's gonna get to a point where it starts overriding you. It gets overwhelming. It gets to take over your whole day. It starts to conflict with what you're doing daily in your daily activities, as far as work or whatnot. It starts conflicting and bleeding into that. You know, you cannot get ahead of your healing anymore. The physical body wants to heal and release. It's now in a physical energy on this planet where it has to release. If we are not consciously going to choose that, the physical body will enforce that a different way, and it will be a very physical experience, unfortunately, for the rest of us who have to go that route, right? So the key is to surrender, be hydrated, be self-observant. If you need moments, if you need to rest, if you need to be more self-centered, do that. Don't worry about everything else around you, right? You're going to learn, and as God said earlier, you're going to learn how to love yourself. The easy way or the hard way. Either way, you're going to learn how to love yourself a lot more and a lot better than you have been doing. And that's the only way you're actually going to be able to heal and move forward is if you actually learn how to love yourself a lot more. So where you've been hiding that and pulling that back and downplaying or holding out from yourself, that's all going to change if you want ultimately the higher experience and the outcome to come afterwards. So, anyways, let's see. I feel we're at almost a card pulling time, actually. Let me look at Facebook. So anyway, yeah, just looking at blessings, looking at the experience, and being grateful for where you are, being grateful for everything that's accumulated to this point and where we're going. You know, that's one of the biggest things that the angels have been putting on my heart lately, you know, is you can be pushing for 5D, New Lemuria, all that. It's like where you're at now, where the team's at now, where everything is at now from where it was a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, when you showed up on mission in 2018, where everything is at now. Can you be grateful for it? Can you appreciate it? Can you cherish it? Can, going through all those layers. And I feel sometimes we do that. We focus so much on just going forward and getting things done and just focusing on what's next. We don't actually appreciate what we have done. We don't actually respect and honor how far we have come and what we have built so far. And it's beautiful. It's grand. It's amazing. It is absolutely 100% the dream. Even if other people cannot see that. What we have lived through, what we have experienced in the last couple of years, I cannot even begin to put in words to fully describe to any single person what that's like. And the fact that we're here, cherishing that, respecting that, being so grateful and happy of that. And then how many of the collective is so focused on just going somewhere. making it somewhere, getting somewhere. They have no respect or happiness or joy in how strong they are, how much they have picked themselves up, and how much they've carried themselves forward, even if the circumstances didn't benefit them, even if the different experiences weren't to their liking, even if it was a hellhole they had to crawl out of, they still made it. And how many people actually stopped to actually feel into how amazing that is, that you're still here. It wasn't a waste, it wasn't in vain. It taught you how to be stronger, it taught you how to be resilient and keep pushing forward, have faith, have trust and hope in yourself. That even if things are hard now, that it can be better. And that you can experience that and you can live and breathe it. And there's a lot of people that don't have the ability to even cognitively think that. Sensually feel that in their body. To even spiritually get there, even with their religious beliefs or just their higher ideas and concepts. They can't see it for themselves. Maybe in a big vision picture for the whole world in a very far off 2,000 year away experience. Yeah, that can happen. Yeah, that's totally, I believe in that. But to happen to them in this life, right now, maybe this year, oh my God. They would blow them away. They would never believe in a million years they would be the one to witness that or go through that experience or to see a higher reality happen, unfold in front of their eyes. And this is the same part of the collective that's about to get so blown away this year. The energies that are coming and the things that are about to take place physically on this planet, it's going to raise the hairs on the back of humanity. The backs and necks of humanity is going to be electrifying, zapping energy. It's going to get everyone's attention. It's going to stop everyone in their tracks. It's going to pull their focus back from the virtual reality and everything going on. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's just what the angels are saying. I'm just saying it. But this is what's set up for this year. And I can see the higher of that, of why that would need to be so, because that's where most of the collective is plugged into. The computer system, the virtual reality, the computers, the technology, they are lost in these portals. They have no idea how to navigate consciously, but yet they will plug their energy up to it every single day and get siphoned off of. They will get manipulated. They will go into conditioning and programming. They will get just sucked on all day long through these portals, these technologies, the devices, and not even be consciously aware of it. However, if there's a psyche break, if something happens where they start to lose trust in confirmation, lose trust in technology, or lose trust in just how the systems work. The foundations in the system, the technology, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. What are the foundations in the technology that have humanity captivated? Are we talking about social media? That's a big one. They're under a lot of fire right now, right? So as we start to see these things start to break down and the collective starts to pull back their energy from it because they can no longer trust it, they start to see something wrong with it. They start to that's weird. And you start to see that fall off. It's also the collective choosing that, hey, maybe I'm going to discern a little bit more with my energy. I'm going to feel into what I'm going to plug into, what I'm going to give that investment to, right? And a lot of that's going to happen with the stock market too. As long as we go into Bitcoin, all these different things, a lot of what the collective has been throwing off in the last 2 months, especially with, I don't know what this metaverse is and those other, I think it was something else that they're doing alongside of metaverse, where it's this, this virtual investment thing with buying money and paying for things, having these different worlds. It's a massive unconscious energy that's been released from the collective, where basically being suppressed, being deprived, living in a state where you're constantly thriving and striving after the American dream. We have amassed so much lust and so much ambitions for ourselves, and we don't even have the emotion or the motivation, to even back that. Can you imagine what that'd be like if you have a lot of just literally weightless dreams and visions, pointless, and these accumulate over the years, but you have no motivation to go after any of it, and just stockpiles and stockpiles and stockpiles. basically it builds to an impulse, an impulsive. I would say it could be a reaction. It could be a very compulsive desire that you have inside that just sparks off in a moment, and you're in it. It just happens, right? And that's where a lot of the collective's been in the last 2 months, where a lot of those built up, accumulated, pent up desires, lusts, fantasies and different things, it exploded, right? The only way to get through that is really just let it release. It's like a hot air balloon full of bullshit. And yeah, it's probably going to get a little crazy, but like there's no way really around it because it's self-generated. We generated that. We generated it through our suffering, through suppression and things like that, and not having lack, devoid, all that. And then we had fantasies or delusions of what we would have or what that experience would be if we did have it. We still had those thoughts. We still had those emotions, and they didn't go anywhere. Energy doesn't disappear. It has to transform into something, so that energy basically stayed in a bubble. For us to go back to the dream machine, for us to go back to pure childlike imagination, where the dream machine actually will generate new Earth and new Lemuria, we have to purify the old fantasies and things and dissolve those. So that's also what's been going on too as well. So I want to read the horoscope real quick. So basically the quarter moon in Taurus occurs today. The Taurus moon shares a minor aspect of the node's destiny, and it gives us a fated push to attain our goals. When this happens, we can feel the cosmic energy transforming our lives, but not at the strength of a full-blown aspect. While today's energy may not be very astrologically potent, it can help us manifest our visions. However, you could be uncertain about what you want to create and receive from the universe. In order to gain abundance, it's important to have a clear plan. Luckily, today's moon can give you the energy to go after your innermost dreams. This could simply mean connecting with like-hearted people or making professional alliances. Once this thing is certain, you'll be able to find the spark within yourself that leads to finding your truest path and calling. The nodes of destiny are activated, which means that the hand of fate is present. The moon gives us the drive to perform and make things happen. All in all, it's a magical day in which can shoot for the stars to succeed beyond our expectations. It's very interesting to talk about the nodes of destiny are activated, which means that the hand of fate is present. And today felt like a very fated day, like as far as the thoughts that were coming through, it wasn't just like random thoughts. It wasn't just these complaining. It wasn't just like a bunch of pent up suffering or trauma. They were very specific, very direct, and very like a lot of jam-packed either hatred, a lot of pent-up lack of expression behind it that was picking up from the collective. And I feel that's where we're at this point. It is the collective is about to get to the physical point where these physical expressions are going to reach a physical activity, whether they're physically expressing it through their voice or they are physically moving their bodies in some kind of movement. I know we've already had the movement up in Canada with the beings and truckers, lining up on that, angels, what is it called? The ley line, the energetic ley line in Canada, and blocking that path. And that's also a physical movement too, but that happened about a week or two ago, so we can start to see where that energy started to come in, where it caused a massive collective physical movement. We're about to see a lot more physical movement from the collective respond to that energy and also support it as well, So, definitely, and again, it's a choice point for everybody, and surrendering to where you're at. A lot of it's a wrestling with yourself. A lot of things you already know. A lot of things you already agree with in yourself. It's really just like, will you do it? Are you going to accept it? Are you going to allow it? Right? And that's where we're stubborn, or we literally just don't give a fuck, or we literally want to be that half-ass that we just don't give a shit. And that's the part of ourselves we have to forgive. We have to go back into nurturing and healing and forgiving, because that's not truly who we are. But that energy is always going to grab us every time we can actually make amazing improvement, progress, advancement forward, so. Alrighty then, let's see. Who's ready for cards? Yay! All right, let's do a collector card real quick. We'll do a Sassy Unicorn, Badass cards, and then give me 1 second. Where's my notebook at? Pretty sure I had a pen in here at some point. There it is. All right, number 1 through 100. I have wrote the number down in the notebook already. So anybody on Telegram, YouTube, or Facebook, 1 through 100, any one of those numbers that you feel or intuitively discern that it is, go ahead and put it on the chat box. Let's see, let me put this thing on. For the beings that are on Telegram, I know Telegram's a little confusing. Just go back to the chat room you were in before this. There's going to be a join as a listener. There's going to be a little comment box underneath. You can put that number in that comment box, and I'll see that. So if you want to participate and join that. All right, and let's do a Sassy Unicorn card. All right, animal, spirit animal oracle card deck. Ooh, something jumped out. Alright, so the Assassin Unicorn card says, you think someone is lying? They are. So that probably is a message from the angels to trust your intuition, trust not only your gut feeling, but also what your heart says. And that's another thing where it's kind of like a hijack where a lot of the older spiritual communities, they go off the gut feeling, and that's also connected to the ego. You know, it's being more heart-centered. What does your heart say? What do you feel in your heart space? You know, and that, of course, embodies the divine traits. Your lack of judgment, lack of opinion, projection, things like that. You know, just because you have a gut feeling doesn't always mean that it's true. It could be based off your fear, right? It could be based off your anxiety, your stress, your comfort zones. So, of course, if your comfort zones are breached, of course, you're going to feel a little off about it. And that could be a gut feeling. Doesn't necessarily mean something bad is happening, right? So, of course, feel into that, you know, consciously move around and whatever you have to do, transform. But just, it's food for not only thought, but for feeling. So the first card was number 31, Groundhog Spirit, Time to Let Go. It's actually funny because I don't know if anyone of you know, the actual, I think they designated groundhog, whatever state he's in, he actually died this year. They went to go check the groundhog and he actually like kicked the bucket. So like I don't know if they got a new groundhog or what, but I would say that definitely fits into the whole theme of like cycles breaking, because we've been relying on the groundhog to tell us about what to do with our lives for since I was like in elementary school. That was well over 20 years ago. So I feel we are ready to break that cycle and start to be conscious human beings and not rely on a groundhog to tell us what kind of year we're going to have, right? So that's good for us all. So number 31, let's see what it's going to be. Time to let go. Endings lead to beginnings, and death is a part of life. So Groundhog Spirit is here to let you know that it is time to accept the natural ending of something that is no longer serving you. 100% perfect what we were talking about. The end of the 3D society. Let's go. We'd love to hold on to what is familiar, but the new needs space to arrive is so growth. But the new needs space to arrive to so growth can occur. It's a weird wording of that. And moving on. When Groundhog Spirit appears, it is a sign there is something in your present situation that you need to let go of, so that something new can be born. Something that will far better serve you now. When the Groundhog Spirit sees his shadow, he retreats to his den. So too might you yearn for a little more time to say goodbye and transition to the new. However, change is coming and it is good. So let go of your resistance. Spring brings many blessings, and what must die will always be reborn in a new form that will be right for you. Life requires change and detachment. Say farewell to whatever you once served and get ready for something amazing to take its place. Whoa, that was body language, yo. Spirit is already sending it your way. Have you been relentless in your efforts to revive something that has been past its prime and needs to die away? A situation, a relationship, a belief, or a habit that served you once but no longer fills you with vitality. Perhaps you automatically expect to see the world through a specific lens based on the familiar. Groundhog Spirit appears to you to let you know it's time to accept the past is the past. So allow yourself to feel the loss and grieve it if you need to. Any sadness will not last forever or overwhelm you. Knowing Spirit is with you and wants to experience joy and excitement again will help you through this transition from the old to the new. Keep your eyes open, for winter always gives way to spring and endings always give birth to beginnings. For now, let yourself feel your emotions, releasing them to make way for the joy that awaits you. Spring and new growth are on their way, for that is Spirit's promise to you. Beautiful. And then the last card we had was 35, and that was Koala Spirit. Spirit has a plan, which literally just picks up from where we left off. So 35, let's see. So Spirit has a plan. In nature, the koala moves slowly through the branches of the eucalyptus tree, leisurely chewing the leaves, reminding us that life is not a race or a competition. Chasing around after every distraction can keep us from recognizing that we have all we need and that Spirit will always be there with gifts to sustain us. You are being asked to trust, and by moving slowly with faith and the abundance that is everywhere, surrendering to a power greater than yourself, you will be able to experience the manifestation of your desire. As you take your time enjoying the riches available to you right now, sitting peacefully, you begin to radiate the joy and abundance you seek. Spirit is here to help you discover happiness, pleasure, and contentment, all gifts that are yours now and in the future. Have faith and trust in Spirit's plan for you, and now you are loved and cherished. Are you feeling uneasy and mistrustful in the world? Have you been hiding in a safe spot, afraid to venture out because you are convinced that life and other people would disappoint you? Koala Spirit has appeared to let you know that your faith is misplaced. The present safety you seek is already passing away, and because all things are temporary and outer conditions are always changing, find your safety by placing your faith and trust in Spirit, who will grow the abundance that is already yours. Perhaps you are acting slowly and overly cautiously, because the lack of faith that there is more for you or out there than what you know. You may have boxed yourself into a safe place that has nothing else to give you and become so familiar with it that you have forgotten to explore. That's true, definitely. I resonate with that. Are you feeling pessimistic and convinced that there is nothing more out there for you? Koala Spirit hearts you that their self-care is meant to replenish you so that you can venture out again in faith, trusting that there is no limit to the joy Spirit wants to experience. Be good to yourself and reconnect with Spirit to reclaim your faith in things yet unseen. Everything is a process. I know that was kind of like a long, drawn-out process of explaining that, but ultimately, in a summary, everything is work, right? You want to work on faith, you got to work at it. Trust, grace, anything as far as support and compassion, unconditional love, and divine intelligence. Everything is a process. Everything is work. And there's always more and more layers. You never get to a point where you just say, like, I'm there. That is complete ego. You can always be grander. You can always be greater than you were the day before, and that never ends for you. So, definitely, don't get stagnant or complacent with yourself. Always be. And it will help if you change it up. Change it up to be interested. You just don't do the same things every day. Have something new to do every day where it's interesting, it's intriguing, you're curious, It sparks that childlike imagination and passion, that playfulness in you to want to do those things, and you actually have those experiences, right? That's a lot different from people, that just sit there on the couch and fantasize every day and don't do it. It's like, why not, right? Go do it, experience it, and then have that experience to work with and heal through. So, all right, let's look at beautiful numbers. Let's see what we've got. All right, so live chat. Let's see. That was really weird. Everything like disappeared. So I only see. I think it deleted all my comments, but I always see is Lindy Lou, Missy Craig, and Jenna Floyd as far as numbers. If anybody else put numbers, you probably want to put those back in again. So I see 42, 62, 42, 62, and 37. And that's it. Facebook's doing weird stuffies. So we're going to move over to Telegram. Let's see. Telegram, what do you got? And then YouTube over here. So got a 92. I don't think I see anything on YouTube. I don't even think I'm on the right one. Not sure what's going on there. Anyways, we'll give them a couple more moments. Let's see, anything else? Angels, one last thing. I think I read everything I had in my notebook. Apparently I forgot something. What did I forget? Did I forget something? Let's see. Oh yeah. So the plans went direct a couple days ago. So that's what they were getting at. So in probably another day or two, that energy is going to balance out for everybody. So that direct energy is going to be a lot more balanced, more smoother. So a lot of big decisions and choices that a lot of people have been waiting or holding back from, making. Of course, it's going to be way more aligned and support in these moments. And definitely big manifestations, big abundance, big prosperity, big leaps in transformation and I would say evolution even too as well. It's a big portal for a lot of people, and just having all the plans direct all together all at once, it changes the ball game for a lot of people. And also before February 22nd gets here, which is going to be a kicker for the collective, whatever big shifts or changes or moves that you feel currently right now to make or do those, right? Don't worry about things that are far off. It's not important. After the 22nd, it will most likely change a lot of things that people are worried about after that date. But anything right now before the 22nd, if you feel pinged right now to do it, if you feel moved, changed, whatever it is, if it's a strong urge, a strong sensation inside, it keeps coming back to you, even if you let it go. Definitely act on that more now and follow that ping, that intuition, that discernment now. It's going to lead to something big and amazing for you, okay? So these energies really can help you manifest a lot. Everything else, let it go, because the 22nd, Pluto return is going to change a lot of things. By the time we get there and even after, you may not even feel or think the same way about it. So let it go and just be okay with that, okay? All right, let's just go 32, 92, 37, 62, 42, and I feel that's pretty much it. Yeah, because we're already getting late on time. So we're going to go ahead and call it on that. All right. All right, so 92. That is the number, so you can see. All right. And actually, I feel Tiger Paw is the only one. He got that exactly on the dot, 92. There was a 42 and a 62 and a 32. So I was like, it was interesting. Everyone got like the 2-part. It was just that first part. So that's pretty cool. But Tiger Paw is the one who got that. So good job, Tiger Paw. And I feel you're the last, not the one before, but I think a couple of live streams before you got the exact number I got as well. So it's pretty cool, man. You're really intuitive and etheric. All right, let's go ahead and get the cards out. So we got animal cards, we got sassy unicorn cards, and then Beyond Lemuria cards. All right. Alright, that card. So we got Beyond the Murray card is Luminescence for Tiger Paw. When we journey through life from our hearts, it illuminates the darkness, illusion drops away, and we see what is real. Consider the parts of yourself you may not be accepting. You may be experiencing inner dissonance due to what you are trying to push away. This card is about self-love, deep, compassionate, unconditional love that brings you into wholeness. Luminescence means essence of light. Nothing shines like a heart emanating with love. You can shine through the shadows most gracefully when there is no fear within. Accept all your shades to allow more light and love inside and out of your world. The animal card you got, love, was number 54, and that is Skunk Spirit, Know Your Truth. Ooh, that's a good one. Where's the book at? Number 54. What do you value? What do you believe in? What is your best, most authentic self on display? Skunk Spirit comes as a reminder that you can be proud of who you are and what you have accomplished. Know your worth. Not everyone will agree with you or share your values, but you can walk with your head high, held high, knowing that when you express your integrity, others can feel your authenticity and will be inspired by it. Be who you are, and if your reputation precedes you, good. You have much to be proud of, and Skunk Spirit wants to be your best self, the true you. Not everyone will appreciate you. Many people have issues of their own to address and may trigger something in them. But if so, no matter. Skunk Spirit calls you to be fully yourself without apology. Now is the time for honesty and admitting that something does not sit right for you. You deserve the self-respect that comes when you are courageously choosing to stand up for yourself and speak your truth in love. Remember who you are and what really matters to you and act with integrity. You will be so glad you did. Beautiful. And the last card with the Sassy Unicorn says, you are giving away your power. You are a badass, act like it. So pretty much all along is pretty much telling you to stand up for yourself, definitely stand more into your power. You are definitely empowering yourself by giving your power away to other people. I would still, just feeling into you more in your energy. I feel more of you're compensating for people. It's more of like the appeasement, the sympathizing with other people. So you'll sacrifice and you'll downplay or, kind of deplete yourself for other people, more so out of the savior martyrism programming. and just like you'll take the hits for it, you'll take the brunt of the force, you'll be the the big big mature person. But a lot of times you're constantly throwing yourself under the bus, and you're not allowing other people their lessons of accountability, maturity, and standing up for themselves and learning to stand in their their truth. So a lot of times we try to just kind of like control the situation. A lot of times we try to just speed things up in the environment because we think we know better, or because we know the way things should just go for everyone just to have a better experience. And ultimately, even if it was that way, it also is us kind of like overriding everyone else's experience so they can get those lessons too. Because ultimately, if we had to do that every day, we'd be burnt out. We would freaking lose it at a certain point. We could not deal with that kind of pressure and energy every single day, year after year after year. You could not do that. It's not for you. So even if you have the energy in the moment to do it, is it in the long run highest? No. In the long run, it's to help everyone level up and help everyone be able to be accountable, self-responsible themselves. Therefore, you are a functioning unit, and you can trade off with each other all the way through, right? And that's where it's going to work a lot more in school, work environments, everywhere for a lot of people. But I feel a lot of with you is, stepping back less from sympathizing and really just giving people a lot of like importance and seeing where you are more in your experience. Are you depleted? Are you tired? Do you need to regenerate your own energy? Do you need to focus on your own healing and meditation, your own space, have boundaries? Do you need to, help anchor and center yourself? Or are you too spread thin worrying about where everybody else is? And that's where I feel kind of you're at that middle point with that energy and learning the boundaries and also the balance in it too. Because a lot of times humanitarians, it's part of your nature to care about other people. However, it's not your expense. It's not sacrificing yourself to make sure that you can fulfill other people. That's not the way anymore. So we're learning better ways to set those boundaries and to self-heal and support ourselves, but also still do what our heart wants to do, which is loving and supporting other people and making their lives better too. It's just now it's different from stealing your own energy and power away to make it happen. You're teaching other people to do it with their own energy so they can do it themselves. And that's empowering for both people, so you don't have to be the constant savior for them. So I feel that's really a big lesson for you, love, and a big milestone you're going through right now. So just keep breathing, going through it, drink lots of water, ceremonies, stay grounded, and just be patient. A lot of times the savior programming and the martyrism, it definitely comes out of impatience. That's why we try to save everyone. That's why we try to fix all of everyone's problems. That's why we try to take all the falls and all the arrows and everything like that, because we are so impatient and we want to just get through the vision. We just want to get to the end goal, the point. We just want to get past all the bullshit, and we're like, you know what, I'll do it. Because we're impatient, right? So that impatience has to kind of pull back, learn to be more patient, learn to be more surrendering, more just like accepting of where the flow is at that moment, and just hold space for the highest timeline, right? And learn that patience, because everybody has to get it. Everybody has to make it. Everybody has to live the experience. It can't just be one person trying to stuff it down everyone else's throats, because that's not going to be 5D. So unless everyone can actually grasp it and live it, it's not actually real. It's not actually real for everyone. So big lesson. So I love you all. Take care of yourselves. We will be back on, let's see, today's Tuesday. We'll be back on Thursday around 7:30, 8 o'clock, I guess. At that point, we're getting later and later. It is whatever it is. But, whew, must drink water. Anyways, we'll be back on Thursday at around 7:30, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Excuse me. Definitely just keep up with your ceremonies. The energy is going to keep climaxing. It's going to keep getting more intense. We have some council meetings coming up this month too, so if you're in those council meetings, make sure you know what days those are on, because I know I keep going back to the calendar, make sure I know what those days are on, because I keep forgetting. But just make sure everyone is like The practices are really what's going to help you. In this month, just a lot of emotional, mental energy releasing. If you have physical practices that are consistent every day, things you can keep working on, things you keep going through, things you can keep investing your energy into, it's going to sustain you. It's going to support you. It's structure. It's foundation for you. If you leave yourself out in the wide open, you're going to take all the arrows and you have nothing to block them, right? You're just going to take the hits. You're going to go swimming in the depths of the emotion, and you're going to lose yourself, right? So, support yourself, get grounded, stay centered, apply yourself in meaningful investments, okay? Meaningful expansions, meaningful interactions with people, meaningful learning lessons of yourself and other people. Interact, push yourself. Where your limits are, push it further. Why is it a limit? A limit because it's as far as you've pushed it. Why not push it further? Make it a higher limit, right? Get out of the whole limit, mentality where it's like, well, this is as far as I go with this, and this is, that's just me. That's where I'm comfortable at. Like, fuck that. Push that all the way over there and see what you get. It might be bigger than you ever even imagined, but you're never going to get there until you actually do it, right? The whole control thing's gotta go, right? I'm going through so many different lessons, like keep letting go of control, and it controls so much, multidimensional. It's external and it's internal. We have so much internal control of our behavior, our expressions, what we say, what we think, what we do, you want to talk about control? We all have it, right? And it's about taking every single one of those layers off. And when you don't have the control, what really comes through? Well, you can't control it, so you have no ability but to just watch what happens, and then you can see everything in its rawness. That's really what we got to get to, because without the control, then we can see the truth of it, and then with the truth, we can work with that and heal it. But as long as there's control, there's always going to be a limiter. There's always going to be a cap foundation that's going to keep everything stuck underneath, and we're not going to be able to get through it, right? So definitely a big part of the collecting control, hatred, anger, what you're trying to box in, trying to fight within yourself. It's all a big, huge maze for everybody. But trust yourself, trust your discernment, go through it, surrender. Keep going through the forgiveness. I've been going through a lot of things with compassion, for myself and just going through these energies. So, compassion is a big part of it. You can't forgive without compassion. You can't let go without compassion. You can't, literally transform and really make sense of things without compassion, because there's always going to be that self-criticism you're going to fight with. And if you're going to be self-critic, a self-criticism with yourself or other people, it's going to keep that. You're going to always be going for the details, the flaws, what's wrong, what happened. You're being attached to situations, and you're never going to be able to let it go, right? So let those things go and be compassionate. And it allows the details of whatever happened, even if it was intense, it doesn't matter at the point if you have compassion, right? Because then with compassion, there's understanding. Everything simply is the way it is because it needs to be. And we have the compassion because we have to let it go. Compassion is understanding that it all needs the experience. There's no judgment, there's no opinion, there's no supposed to be, there's no expectation, there's no supposed to have been already, right? Compassion simply is present in that moment and accepts and embraces whatever is, and it simply holds space with compassion for the higher timeline to happen. Compassion doesn't say it's all beautiful. Compassion doesn't say it's perfect. Compassion doesn't say it's all healed. Compassion simply says, even though it's fucked up, we can still have grace. Compassion says, even though it's a shit show, things can still be better. And that's what we need to embody more of, is compassion. And that will help us be more non-attached, be less sensitive to all the shit that's going on, and more just going in the flow, letting it go and moving forward with the process for ourselves and everybody else, and accepting that it's going to go, in a certain flow, right? The compassion is we're allowing everyone their experiences, ourselves, and if we do that, then it's going to amount to a higher picture, a higher idea, a higher concept, because as soon as everyone expresses, the energy, gets exhausted. One of the biggest fundamental things about energy, and before we even end, is just energy it can't die out. right? Prime source creator, universal creator, unlimited pure energy. Limitless. It will never die out, right? So the ego, trauma, pain, suffering, it has a max energetic level. So after enough of it has been expressed, after enough of it has been released, it dies out. It literally folds to what the higher energy present is, which is divinity. In science, they tell us that whenever a lower frequency, a lower energy, comes in contact with the higher frequency or higher energy, it automatically enforces the lower frequency to raise its vibration to match the higher one. It's scientific law. It's universal. It's energetic law. It's everything that happens every single moment. So, after enough of this energy is expressed, released, and purged from ourselves individually and also as a collective, it is going to be exhausted to the point where the ego is not going to have enough of a fight to put up to with everything else that's coming, to transform and shatter and break us through those belief systems, right? And that's it's really, really important just to focus on that. Anything that's coming up for expression, anything that's coming up as far as writing, singing, saying it, arguments, or just shouting it out. If you want to punch a pillow, if you want to take a sick out in the forest, you just want to go to bat on some dead trees, not live trees, please, dead trees. But just any way you can get it out. I've taken like a crowbar to like boxes before and just kind of like hammered boxes with a crowbar, and whatever you have to do to get this energy out. But a lot of the fiery, aggressive energy has to come up. It's going to come up to be exhausted, and in order for it to be exhausted, it's got to come up through experience most of the time, because people consciously are not surrendering, I would say, to, or even present enough with their emotions to even process them. So it's going to kind of be like an ambush. It's going to kind of just happen. So look out for that. If it happens at work or your family life or whatever, just be aware of it. It's a very explosive, very spontaneous energy going off the rest of this week or so. And the intention behind it is just to burn off enough of this aggressive energy in the collective so that we can actually go further into the layers, what's underneath. So I love you all. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy your week. We'll be back on Thursday around 7:30, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And we'll be back tomorrow morning with, I feel Buddha and Jeri tomorrow morning. So stay present. Again, any aggression or anything like that, just express, let it release. Ceremonies will help a lot, and also any kind of like water ceremonies, like showers, baths, anything like that. And just write a ceremony, light some candles, focus on relaxing, focus on being calm, centered. And a lot of times you have to be physical in your activity of that. It's more than just the thought of being relaxed. It's more than just the idea of being peaceful in your interactions with people. Physically do it. Turn on some music, dim the lights, put on some incense, be physically relaxed. Do physical things. Don't sit rigid. Don't sit like in some straight rigid posture. Lean on the couch or whatever you gotta do. Physically get yourself to move into a physical relaxed state. We have developed so many behavioral patterns of control and restraint and just rigidness that a lot of times now we have to physically get ourselves to relax, be peaceful, and actually be more fluid, light, and flexible, right? If you have to stretch more, be weird and funky, put on some music and just dance around and be weird, whatever you got to do, but get loosened up. And that'll help the energy move through your body a lot more easier, and also being hydrated as well, okay? I love you all. Take care of yourself, and we'll be back on Thursday.